Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was. And yes, Starlight was, but right now the wind is picking up, and it's hard to say. They're calling for rain later on. I don't really even look at the weather, but I get these pop-ups anyway on my phone. So I need to be in here because it's too windy to make a video. The sound would suck. The background sound would be horrible. So anyway, here I am making a video, and today was Starlight's birthday. So happy birthday, Starlight. Happy 55th birthday. Wow, you know. I am so happy, and I've been celebrating my birthday all day long, and especially today. Today is like bam. I didn't do anything special today, but I'm gonna make a day where I can go out and do something special. Today was I had other things that I needed to do, and so anyway, I love all of you, and thank you for someone out there. I didn't know this, so I'm so sorry. I just realized this is somebody sent Starlight a birthday gift. So you know who you are. So that was a real surprise, and that was a real treat for Starlight. I appreciate you so much out there. So, and also thank you to all of you. Yes, all of you who have been here loving and supporting Starlight for a long time, and also those of you who just joined Starlight, who have just subscribed. So thank you for all of you. Yay! You know, because I can't do all this on my own. You imagine it? Me just sitting here talking to myself, you know, and nobody's there watching? No. You know, we all need each other. You're not going to get through this without a helping hand from somebody else somehow or another. So anyway, I love all of you, and I appreciate all of you being patient and being kind and being sweet to Starlight all these years. And I thank the universe and thank God for all the amazing things. I've had abundance flowing in. You know, God's just been sending me little things here and there. A lot of times I find things and I pass it along to somebody else that can actually use it. So it's funny. I love doing that. I love finding goodies, and then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to drop that off somewhere else. And so I'm so grateful for all the little things that, you know, come my way, even the big things in life. So, and it is so important to be grateful all the time. You know, even the lessons that you have, even the challenges that you have, because you'll make it a lot smoother on yourself, you know, if you're saying, hey, thank you for this obstacle that is in my way right now. You're teaching me patience right now. You're teaching me to see things differently. You know, I'm actually using my brain, you know, and figuring out, okay, there's an obstacle in my path. There's a blocked road, you know, a road being blocked, you know. So thank the universe, thank God for those times, and you can ask, hey, I need help, you know, hey, what can I do? What is it that I need to work on or let go of to, you know, remove that obstacle? Sometimes we just need to be patient, and, you know, so there's so many different things that we can do. But anyway, I love you, and I thank you for all of you who've been here, and thank you for supporting me on my YouTube channel. I do kind of have to speed things up because time is ticking here at the library. And also, if anyone would love to reach out to me and say hello, you can through my Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. And also, anybody would love to send any love donations, it's still never too late. Starlight still would love to receive any love donations, and you can do that through my Cash App, and I will have the information here. Ping! And thank you for that special someone out there who was so sweet to do that. And God does reward people who actually are willing to give from the heart. So thank you so much. And I know that came from the heart. And so today is, because somebody recently asked me this, it's about feeling depressed and feeling down. And haven't we all been there somewhere along our path in life? Yes, everybody's raising their hands. Wow, yes, all of us have been there somewhere. It could have been when you were little, growing up, having a heart broke, your heart got broken, maybe somebody wasn't doing well and you got worried and depressed about them, and depression is a serious thing out there, and there's lots of people in the world. And that is why, number one, I just heard this the other day, it is so important to think about the kind of food that you eat. What you eat, you become. You ate a frog, ribbit? No, but if you're eating junk food, I'm telling you, it's going to make you feel, it's going to lower you, it's going to slow you down, it's going to make you feel like shit. I used to work at Burger King, and I ate a lot of Burger King food. I'll tell you, I used to love their French fries, and I used to even buy their food. I got a real big discount on buying frozen food, because I worked there. And so I used to bring all that junk food at the house, and my kids love chicken nuggets. What is chicken nuggets made out of anyway? Do we even want to talk about that, Starlight? So it is so important. Starlight is not into sweets. So I am really, I love fruit. That's my sweets. That is where I get, I made I actually cooked up some blueberries today to put, to make my own kind of blueberry syrup on my blueberry pancakes. Actually, strawberry pancakes with blueberry syrup on blues. I had to eat those strawberries up, so I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to make strawberry pancakes with blueberry syrup on top, but it's just made out of blueberries. There's no sugar added, and it's amazing. It tastes so good. So if you're eating the wrong kind of food, yeah, it can actually mess you up with your mood and all that stuff. And the kind of people that you're around, people can make us depressed, worrying about other people, and it is tough. It is challenging. I was going through that a while back. It wasn't depressing me. I was aware of, hey, it's out of your control, Starlight. You can't do shit about any of that. So I had to let it go. It's somebody I love, somebody I care for. And I'm not the only one that was concerned about this person. Many other people, family members, was worried, thinking about this person. Some people were really, really worried about this person. But I knew enough. I knew more than anybody else did. And I knew I had to let it go. There's times that we can't help people. They have to figure it out. I mean, how can you help somebody when they block you on the phone, because there's something seriously going wrong. They're not themselves. So nobody can really help that person. They're the ones that got to figure that out. So you don't want to put all your heart on other people. There's times that we got to give it over to God. We got to trust God that God's going to, hey, there's nothing I can do. There's no sense in me getting all stressed out over their choices that they picked in their life. There's people that have made the wrong choices. They made their bed and now they got to lay in it. And it's not very comfortable, for a lot of people out there, because they made, it's a horrible situation. That's why you got to really be strong, those people, about what kind of choices that they make, because all of the choices matter. The kind of people that you hang out with. Hang on, Starlight needs some, I got to bring my water in. That was a big boo-boo. So the kind of people, and if you're on medication, that could really screw you up in so many ways. Medication could really mess you up. So medication is another thing that can really make you depressed. Also, other things that can make you depressed is when things are not going your way. And you might not understand how come things are the way they are, but having a good attitude, even though you don't understand. There's all the time I got the blinds on, I can't see what, the universe is guiding me. So that faith, I'll tell you what, and just trusting, hang on, I gotta adjust my seat here, is the uncertainty in life, not knowing, like, why am I here? What is going on? You might not like your job. That will add so much depression in your life because you're not happy. There's something in your life that is making you not happy. That's a part of what depression can do, is that you might be in a relationship, you're not happy. You might be single and not be happy because you're single. And I'll tell you what, I was that person a long time ago, was like, but you know what, when I smacked my head in the wall too many times, I realized, you know what, that wasn't the answer anyway. I did. I went on the dating app so many times, to knock myself silly, where I was getting hurt, rejected over again, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, And so that does have a way of, making us feel depressed, and it makes us self-check, give us a self-check, and like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not good enough? Of course, there's many times that the men, they didn't align with me, who I wanted to be with. But you know what? I needed help. I wasn't ready for a relationship, and I knew that. Like way back then, I would have to say, like, I needed help. I needed to take a frickin' break from the dating apps, from men. Because I needed to work on me. I needed some serious work. It's even worse than I thought. I didn't think it was as bad as when you kind of like when men work on like cars, auto mechanics, or I'm trying to think of projects, like working on your house. This happens in real life too, is like there's men that will have something wrong with their car, so they're going on YouTube or asking friends and buddies, hey, this is what's going on. Do you know what's going, so men love getting together, and I think it's amazing that they're all coming together, trying to figure out what could be wrong, and going on YouTube or going on Google, maybe going to an auto mechanic and like, this is what's going on. And so it's wise to do the cheapest things first, fix those things. And just like in our own life is, just like when when Starlight started working on herself, I thought, hey, it's not that bad. And then there's many times men or women that have something wrong with their car, they're hoping that it's going to, not cost a lot of money. They're thinking it's going to be a quick fix, right? A quick fix, and you're done, and you can pay that price for how to get it fixed and get the car fixed. You can get back on the road, have it all legal all over again. But you find out, you took care of that problem too, like checking all these different things, the small little things first. You're like, nope, that's not it. Nope, this is that. Nope, this is good. This is it, and then it's like, bam. And that is what it was like with Starlight when I thought, hey, this is a quick fix. But guess what? I found out it wasn't no fucking quick fix. I needed so much help, it wasn't even funny, of the kind of like the repairs that I needed to take care of, bits and pieces being broken and just kind of like Humpty Dumpty, getting put back together again. You just kind of fell off that wall and you're, and so many times it's what it kind of feels like, you're broken. But we need to go through those times, because that's what makes us stronger. I just met, not that I met, but a man just recently found me at a parking lot at a park, and I was ready to go hiking, oh, I just couldn't wait. I was so high that morning. I was like, oh, the sky's clearing up. I'm going to go hiking. And I knew where I was going to go. But this man came along. I used to clean for him and his wife. And so he told me, he goes, wow, he goes, I don't know if you heard about me, like what happened to me, because I remember when I used to clean for him and his wife that he had health issues. He was eating the wrong kind of food, and he had to swallow this little pill that was a camera that, took pictures of his, intestines and went all the way down until it came out somewhere. And I never found out what happened, but I just knew that he came back and the doctor told him, hey, you can't eat all this stuff. And so when I wasn't there anymore, he told me that the doctor, and he said this was, and I said, how long ago was this? I wanted to get the information before he told the story. He's like, because he said the doctors gave him 5 months. And so I'm like, hey, how long ago was that? He said, that was 2 years ago. I was like, oh, thank you. Here, So I wonder about doctors, is it a trick, a psychology trick? Because there's a lot of back-ass word things that we're doing that we think that this is how we're going to get that one by living off an old program, how we always thought it was to work out. And what I'm learning online is that you got to kind of do the backwards of what you think you would normally do, to get that one, or how to draw them into you. A lot of times we're chasing them instead of actually attracting people in our life. We're actually chasing them away. But that man, it's 2 years later, he's alive. So, that's amazing, and you're not broken. See, he thought he was going to fall apart. He told me how the whole family, for the longest time, they were just like, crying, thinking their dad was going to die, his kids. I met the whole family, that his wife, crying because they all thought he was going to die. And he, really, so depression brings us down like that, but it's necessary. It's kind of horrible. So not only you want to eat healthier stuff, like blueberries, grapes, and oranges, and all these, even pineapple, to help you. Getting out in nature is really going to help you. And I know what it's like. I've been there where I had a hard time getting out in nature. I really did. There's times we need to push ourselves to get out there. When you're depressed, I went through that long time ago where I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't feel like it, didn't have the energy to do it. And the weird thing is, somehow or another, I ended up going to certain things. And inside I was complaining so much, I didn't want to go. And you know what? I did go to these things. I really had a hard time being around people and their energy. It was a big, huge problem. And then when you're feeling like crap, you really don't want to be around anybody. You just want to stay to yourself and have that alone time. But then you want to connect with people. Isn't that weird? You're like, I'm so alone now. I want to be around people. But then, I don't want to be around. I want to be, it's kind of weird how that goes back and forth like that when you're depressed. You want to feel loved, is what it is. You want to feel accepted. And sometimes, people feel depressed because the things that they feel like they're not accomplishing, the choices that they're doing, or the people that they're dealing with, they might not, you got to really be honest with yourself, because a lot of times it's what happens too, is we can get depressed because we're not really being honest. And we can't fake it anymore. We can't pretend anymore. And the more that we try to pretend and fake it, the worse it gets. It feels uncomfortable to be in our own skin when we realize that we're not being honest with really, there's times that we can get warning signs, red flags, but we get so comfortable around some people, we don't want to let them go. We feel like we really need those people to make it through life. I know what that's like. When my brother was here, I felt like I need him. There's no way I could get through my life without him. And then I was forced to actually leave him. And as time went by, he was no longer here anyway. But I know, even though he's no longer here, like, if he was in my presence, he would always try to stop me from living my life. If I try to go out with a man, he would always tell me how there's something wrong with the man. If I went that way, always trying to control everything in my life. So there's so many different reasons why you can be depressed. And getting out is really, getting out in nature where you are safe is really good. Listening to some relaxing, good 432 hertz music is really good. Starlight was always the bathaholic, I love my bath and bubbles, that actually just got me, to kind of really go within in myself, and, just to relax and kind of release some stress a little bit just because the water felt so warm, and just to kind of let go of things. So anytime that you're going through depression, the worst things you can do is turn to drugs and alcohol and cigarettes. Or even people, what they end up doing is that they end up going into toxic relationships, like a boyfriend or a close friend. There's a lot of people that think, by being intimate with somebody, even if it's not a relationship that's healthy, some people think that's a way to make it all go away, is by having sex and cuddling with people. It could end up making things worse. So there's many times we have to go down, in life to be able to rise back up, because you only can go down so long, so far for so long, and eventually you're going to come back up. But you don't want to really stay in the house, stay in the house, laying in the bed. You got to really break that, and even talking to somebody that you feel safe and comfortable with is very beneficial, but you got to make sure whoever you're talking with is a person that's not going to tell everybody your stuff. There are therapists out there, but you still have to be cautious, even with therapists. No matter who you talk to, you have to be mindful of who you talk to and what you share. So eating healthier, stop eating junk food if you're eating junk food, really give yourself a hug. And I am affirmations are really good. You have to, and your thoughts and all that stuff, if you haven't been doing the work and you've been letting everything slide, guess what? It's now you got to start from the, that's why you always got to be consistent when you're working on yourself. You can't just okay, I'm going to work on myself. And you do that for like a week or two, maybe a month, maybe 3 months, and then you get distracted, and then you go out and the winds of the world, and you just kind of get lost. And then you forget about all these I am affirmations. You forget about, self-love, and you forget about all these things that matter, because now you're gonna, there's people, it's a tug of war. This is a tug of war that we're in right now, is the war for your mind, heart, and soul, and there's people out there, even your mom and dad, could be your kids. That force out there doesn't give two shits who they use to pull you away from what you're working on. Normally it's the ones that are the closest, the ones that we got to really watch out for. I remember it says, I don't have any enemies. If somebody doesn't like me, that's not my problem, it's their problem. But it says to keep your enemies closer, But you really do, you have to really be careful of the ones that are the closest to you, because they are the ones that really can do some damage on you, and they can and they will be used against you, and they might not even be, they could be a puppet, not even realizing it, that they're pulling you away from the things that you were working on or could have been working on, and there's many times you could have been on a good track at one point, and people will discourage you from doing, who are you listening to? You shouldn't be listening. You're trying to get help. They'll have every negative thing that they can possibly find to actually pull you off track. And then your ear will start getting big and hearing what they got to say. But how are their life? Are they happy? Are they miserable? And that's what you got to watch out for. Are these people happy and they're, positive? Because they're only going to want the best for you, So they're, like, today's my birthday. There's family members that didn't even call me up, and, they know it's my birthday today, but I knew they weren't going to call me up. I called somebody up on their birthday. They never answered the phone. That's why I knew they weren't going to call my ass up on my birthday. That's why it's so important to love yourself, and that's why I was celebrating myself, because knowing that there's some people they weren't going to call me up, because there's people that they can't control my ass. And that's where we're going to be tested. This warfare is so real, and we're in the end times. So you really got to be sharp. You really got to be consistent, and you really need to reach out and ask for help. Like, there's somebody out there that did. That's exactly what you need to do. But when you start, you got to get right back on track, and you got to keep going. You got to, there's things that you were told, or taught that really could benefit you. But if you don't listen to those people that are really out there, really wanting to see you win, and you listen to the other people that want to pull you away, because I'll tell you what, that force out there will use anyone. The ones that you thought, there's somebody in my life that I'm like, I will never have to worry about that person. That person will always be there in my life. Guess what? That person that I thought would always be in my life is not here. That person has not been in my life for a couple of years. So people that you think will be there forever could be used to pull you away. There's times people like that where you think you can never live without them are the people that you need to let go of. So it's a sad thing, but I'll tell you what, your peace and happiness is the most greatest thing that you ever need. And that's the one thing you don't want to lose. And there's people out there, they can say, I love you, but they could be used and they're not even aware of it. There's people that will take your time and energy to help them out and steal that time and energy from you, to drain your energy, So you really got to be careful of the kind of people that you spend time with. It's so important. I have to, filter. Filter, I am learning not to filter what I say, but I'm learning to be cautious of who I spend time with. There's a lady I help out here, but it's pretty much I'm cooking and she's there, I'll feed her, here and there I spend time with her. But she's not coming to me and, talking like about other people. She's got some things going on, But you got to really be mindful of the kind of company that you keep, because, and like I said, you got to learn to eat healthy food and, get out and exercise, But your rest is so important, but you don't want to oversleep. You got to really be careful, because that's what happened to Starlight. I could slept, There was a time that I slept all night, and I was in a relationship where, that person worked all night, and then when he got home in the morning, he slept, and I slept too, Shit, I slept all night and half a day. and had 2 kids. You know, they were at an age that I didn't have to be right onto them the whole time. But, you know, that's what depression will do to you. You don't want to get to that state, you know. And also you can, you know, check online, you know, like look on, you know, YouTube. There's things that you can take that's natural, not from the doctor that's just going to give you medication, but there's food that really will help you out and boost you up. But getting out in nature is the most beneficial thing that you can do. Getting some sun is really good. Making sure you get enough sleep, but not too much. You know, being around the right kind of people that are not draining your energy. If something doesn't feel right, you got to listen to that. And it's not always easy letting go of people that you love. Saying, I love you, but I got to let you go. You're not good company with me. So anyway, I do have to go because of time. I love you so much, and I really hope if anybody's going through these things right now that this is, you know, I could have talked more, but my time is up, and this is a good time to stop anyway. So this is for people who's going through hard times like depression. And like I said, it could also be these energies. We've had a full moon, a solar eclipse, an 8/8 portal, and another solar eclipse that's going to be on August 28th. So those are other things that could cause depression or mood swings or drain. You could be feeling drained like Starlight was. So always listen to your body, and don't overdo it, you know, because it's just going to drain you even more. Just want to kind of gradually go out and get more exercise out in nature. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.